Leadership TV for God and country.
Good morning and welcome to your breakfast show on television Inside Nigeria. My name is Winifred Ubebo and it's my pleasure to be hosting you on to Thursday's edition, Thursday 27th of July 2023 edition of the show. And of course, as usual on the program, we have so many papers that we are going to be reviewing today, talking about your most influential newspaper in Nigeria, Leadership, The Punch, THISDAY, Blueprint newspaper, The Guardian, The Nation, and of course, Daily Sun. As usual, so on the program, we'd like to start off with Nigeria's most influential newspaper, and that is Leadership. Leadership is leading with the story, stirs suspense as NANS unveils committee chairs today. Suspense as NANS unveils committee chairs today. Akpabio Abbas get list from presidency. Speaker under pressure to defer committee announcement. We have received Tinubu's ministerial list. I'll take that leading story once again. Suspense as NANS unveils committee chairs today. Akpabio Abbas get list from presidency. Speaker under pressure to defer committee announcement. We have received Tinubu's ministerial list. And of course, Leadership has a picture of President Tinubu in company with President Patrice Talon of Benin Republic after a meeting on the situation in Niger Republic at the presidential villa Abuja yesterday. Of course, there was a report that there is a coup attempt in Niger Republic, and of course the Leadership also has that same story. Niger coup, ECOWAS dispatches Benin president to Niamey. Niger coup, ECOWAS dispatches Benin president to Niamey. Reps probe $4 billion debt owed NDDC by oil companies. Reps probe $4 billion debt owed NDDC by oil companies. Palliatives, NLC threatens strike, gives federal government 7-day ultimatum. Palliatives, NLC threatens strike, gives federal government 7-day ultimatum. The story is on page 7 of Leadership newspaper. We also have a Mefele. Our operatives, NCOS, were overzealous. DSS. Our operatives, NCOS, were overzealous. DSS. Job racketeering, FCC chairman, commissioners on warpath. Job racketeering, FCC chairman, commissioners on warpath. APC chair, Northwest State chairman endorsed Gajuje as Lukman quits. Just before we leave Leadership, although time is no longer on our side, we move over to the editorial page of the paper, as stand, and we have students assault on Ogun teacher. Students assault on Ogun teacher. For more on that, just log on to the website of Leadership newspaper www.leadership.ng. From Leadership, we quickly move over to the next paper we have on our menu, and that is the Punch newspaper. The Punch says, NANS Tinubu pleads for more time as NLC issues strike notice. Tinubu pleads for more time as NLC issues strike notice. Presidency meets TLC TUC over palliatives delay. Labour insists on Wednesday protest. Resident daughters strike grants hospitals. Federal government may enforce court order against Labour. We have a picture of the Niger Republic's situation on the cover pictures on the cover of the Punch newspaper. Niger president supporters protest. AU ECOWAS condemn coup plot. Incidentally, President Tinubu is the chairman of ECOWAS, and he has already sent a strong condemnation over that coup plot in Niger. SPDP BOT chair decries home raid by suspected bandits. Benue child traffickers recruit pay pregnant girls 150,000 naira by police. Benue child traffickers recruit pay pregnant girls 150,000 naira. That is police. Musa SFU at 580 naira per litre. These are the leading stories on the Punch newspaper today, Thursday, July 27, 2023. And above the masthead of the Punch, we have National Assembly to unveil ministerial list today at Akpabio's aid. National Assembly to unveil ministerial list today at Akpabio's aid. IPOB Senate to work for ECPA's extradition, keys pro Kanu motion. IPOB Senate to work for ECPA's extradition, keys pro Kanu motion. APC crisis deepens as Lukman resigns, blames president. From there, we'll move over to the editorial page of the Punch newspaper. Let's see what the pulse of the Punch newspaper is today. Remember, as I always like to say, the editorial is the pulse of the paper for that day. So on the editorial page of the Punch newspaper, we have governors need to run vibrant economies. Governors need to run vibrant economies. For more on that, you just have to log on to the website of the Punch newspaper, www.punchng.com. From the Punch, we are looking at this day. This day is leading with the story still on subsidy and labor issue. It says subsidy, labor, federal government meeting continues. Tinubu pleads for more time. Subsidy, labor, federal government meeting continues. Tinubu pleads for more time. Speaker to meet resident doctors orders today. NLC insists on August 2 protest. Despite meeting with government's negotiation team. Declares the poor already missing Buhari. First attempts to criminalize Emefiele's dual exchange rate policy. First attempts to criminalize Emefiele's dual exchange rate policy. Oluvehije explains delay in rolling out interventions. The stories on this day today, Thursday, July 27, 2023. And we have ECOWAS moves to restore democratic order in Niger. ECOWAS moves to restore democratic order in Niger amidst the coup attempt in Niger yesterday. Buhari says, I haven't enriched myself with Nigeria's wealth. Stories on page 16 of this day. We have Emefiele, DSS probes assault on judiciary, correctional service officials. Emefiele, DSS probes assault on judiciary, correctional service officials. Secret Security Agency says incident unfortunate, declares respect for judiciary. NBA condemned DSS, NCOS personnel brawl over suspended CBN governor. Falana urges Tinubu to sanction officials involved. Rearrest of Emefiele, contempt of court order. ACJHR lawyers declare. From this day, let's quickly move over to the editorial of the paper today too. The editorial says brigandage within court premises, talking about the clash between DSS and the Correctional Service Organization. The clash between factions of the state agencies is shameful. Such public conduct sends very negative signals to the world about our respect for basic human rights and dignity of citizens under the law. Brigandage within court premises. For more on that, log on to the website of This Day newspaper for inside stories, the editorial and headline news. www.thisdaylive.com. From this day, we move over to Blueprint. I have Blueprint next on my lineup today. And Blueprint is leading with the story, Ganduje inches closer to APC national chairmanship. Northwest chairman back as Kano governor. I resigned from NWC to avoid being distraction to Tinubu Lukman. Ganduje inches closer to APC national chairmanship. Northwest chairman back as Kano governor. I resigned from NWC to avoid being distraction to Tinubu Lukman. And of course, we have a bold picture on the cover of a Blueprint newspaper. Chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, greeting the chairman, editorial board, Blueprint Newspapers Limited, Haja Zainab Suleiman Okino, left and other media executives during a meeting on the review of the 2023 general election at the INEC headquarters in Abuja yesterday. Federal varsities remain tuition fee, says presidency. IPOB sit at home. Senate seeks extradition of Ekpa. We won't tolerate coup. Tinubu warns Nigerian soldiers. Subsidy. NLC issues 7-day ultimatum. Resumes dialogue with federal government. Zenith Bank implements salary increment for all staffers. Stories on page 22 and page 6 of Blueprint newspaper. As we move up to Blueprint, we have Lagos startup ecosystem. His $8.4 billion, biggest in sub-Saharan Africa. Stories on page 22 of Blueprint newspaper. And above that, we have Emefiele. DSS probes assault on prisons officials at Lagos court. NAVJET's key terrorist kingpin, Nashaman's food soldiers. For more stories on Blueprint newspaper, you'll have to log on to the website www.blueprint.ng. But just before we go, we also have to see what the editorial is on today. It's on the $3.3 billion annual auto parts imports. The $3.3 billion annual auto parts import. For more on that, inside stories as well, and of course, continuation of the headline stories, log on to the website. Once again, is www.blueprint.ng. From that, we move over to The Guardian. The Guardian says Tinubu toes familiar path as ministers may not resume till September. 60 days after, Tinubu toes familiar path as ministers may not resume till September. And of course, it has a picture of President Tinubu right in front, and of course, Ajero, the NLC president, just behind him, talking about fuel subsidy removal. The road to 100 days, Nigerians wait for palliatives in question mark. For more on that leading story, you have to log on to the website of The Guardian, www.theguardian.ng. And more headline story says, NSC insists on August 2 nationwide protest over rising hardship anti-poor policies. MBA Ubani Falana orders non-DSS over disgraceful conduct. NAS gives government 7-day ultimatum to rescind fee hike in higher institutions. NAS gives government 7-day ultimatum to rescind fee hike in higher institutions. So it's on page 3 of The Guardian. One kid, others injured as traders protest overseas shops in Enugu. Nigeria orders risk losing U.S. market over uneven AGOA utilization. Nigeria orders risk losing U.S. market over uneven AGOA utilization. Niger coup, ECOWAS global community won't tolerate threats to democracy, says Tinubu. ISWAP targets headers, keys 27 in Borno. For more on that, you log on to the website. And just before we go, we move over to the editorial page of The Guardian. Guardian says it's time to decongest prisons and reform justice administration. It's time to decongest prisons and reform justice administration. For more inside stories and continuation of the headline stories, log on to the website www.guardian.ng. From The Guardian, we move over to The Nation. The Nation has the leading story. El-Rufai, Wike, Better Edu, Party, Fagbemi make ministers list. El-Rufai, Wike, Better Edu, Party, Fagbemi make ministers list. Ejun, Alake, Adelabu, Oyetola also nominated by President. APC NEC may OK Ganduje Bashiru August 3. While I quit NWC by Lukman. We reject threats to democracy in Niger Republic, says Tinubu. We reject threat to democracy in Niger Republic, says Tinubu. Restore constitutional order, say ECOWAS, UN, AU, US, EU orders. 5,000 illegal buildings demolished in Abuja. Resident doctors begin strike. Reps to probe IOC's $4 billion debt to NDDC. The SS investigates Kofu in court over Emefiele. Above the masthead of the nation, we have strike, give government more time. President says Labour. We protest August 2, says NLC, notice contempt of courts. Federal universities remain tuition-free, says presidency. American proposes marriage to Chibok girl in U.S. That is cheering news. We also move over to the editorial page of The Nation. Let's see what the nation's editorials are saying today, because there are actually two editorials every day. The first is on mining costs. States should be able to control their mineral resources. Mining costs. States should be able to control their mineral resources. And the other one is saving victims. Nigerians need enlightenment on what to do in emergency situations. For more of that, log on to the website of The Nation newspaper, www.thenationonlineng.net. And of course, we have the last paper on our menu, and that is Daily Sun. Daily Sun says Tinubu talks tough over coup in Niger Republic. Tinubu talks tough over coup in Niger Republic. Miss Benin Republic president insists ECOWAS won't tolerate anti-democratic acts. Miss Benin Republic president insists ECOWAS won't tolerate anti-democratic acts. Of course, as usual with other papers today, we have the picture of President Tinubu with the Nigerian President Patrice Talon. President Patrice Talon of Benin Republic after meeting of Economic Community of West African States leaders over coup scare in Niger Republic in Abuja yesterday. Beside the man said, we have no tuition fee increase in federal universities presidency. President seeks more time to address labor grievances. NLC insists on Friday protest. APC vice chairman resigns over leadership crisis. Nasarawa Guba witnesses alleged non-entry of PU results into Form EC8B. Trafficking, 15,000 Nigerians trapped in Senegal, alleges NGO. NCAA accuses Nigerian Airlines of doctoring cockpit voice recorders after accidents. Obaseki government APC in hot exchange over state of federal rules in Edo. Southeast insecurity. This is another leading story, sub-leading story on Daily Sun. Senate seeks ECPA's extradition from Finland. Activities of Dokubo, ECPA threat to Igbo nation, Ohanese. 2 cops killed as government attack Abia commissioner's convoy. The story, for more stories, we log on to the website while I move on to the editorial page of the paper, and it is checking the spread of diphtheria and trust. Checking the spread of diphtheria and trust. For more on that and the other inside stories, headline story, continuation of the headline stories, log on to the website www.sunnewsonline.com. So viewers, this is where we end the first segment of this newspaper review this morning on Inside Nigeria, reaching you on Leadership Television. My name is Winifred Ubebo, and of course, I'm coming back with the second segment of the show to have a discussion on some headline stories. My guest is already in the studio. Don't go away, stay tuned.
Barka da hantsi Nigeria. Duk abubuwan da ya kamata ku sani a wuri ɗaya.
Leadership for God and country.
Leadership TV for God and country.
Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country.
Okay. You're welcome back to the second segment of the program. My name is Winifred Ubebo once again, and of course, with me in the studio is my Thursday guest. He is a political scientist. He's also a public affairs analyst, Olamileko Adefolari. Thank you so much. Good morning.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
Yes. So we are looking at some stories today. Actually, is some of the stories making the headline stories are developing stories,
Exactly.
stories on the NSC and issuing strike notice and all whatnot. I think the story that is actually still different is ministerial list. Now, finally, like the Nation reported it, that the list has been submitted, and we have these people making the list. We have El-Rufai, Wike, Betta, Edu, Party, Fagbemi make ministers list, Ejun, Alake, Adelabu, Oyetola, also nominated by president. It wasn't easy because president said he needed prayers for him to be able to make it, given the mounting pressure that was on him. So what do you have to say about
for
these
me,
people that were
you know,
nominated?
as the president have said, is you need prayer in the sense that there are two camps. One is a camp that ensure that he wins. Those are the people in his party. Then there are other camps that are not members of his party that also contributed to his victory.
Yes.
And those are the other people that he may
Like
have
Wike.
issues, Wike, the likes of Wike and others. Because at the states where those ones are coming from, the APC caucus, they may not be happy. Like the one of Wike now.
Yes, the Rivers, the Rivers APC said yes.
Why would somebody? But I'm suspecting that like those states that he may pick people that are not in his party, they may end up having 2 ministers.
Okay, they said I heard also report that parties from Bauchi State, that it was the same,
Exactly.
yes, angst that after all, he has not even been based in the country.
Exactly.
So,
And again, you know, if you remember the period he served, I think he served in the PDP era.
yes,
He served under
he actually
Jonathan.
defected
He
to
defected
APC
later, but he wasn't given anything at the end.
Yes, he wasn't given anything. So, given the kind of people that you have seen, what's your impression about them?
I think for me, let's look at their outing, their first outing as governor, like Wike and El-Rufai. We can give it to them that at their state level they tried.
Yes.
Wike was considered as a project man. El-Rufai was considered as somebody that bring urban renewal to Kaduna.
Yes.
And ensure. But the only place that people may not be happy with El-Rufai is insecurity that devour that state, especially the southern part of the Kaduna area, that insecurity play a very big role to deficit his governance at that time.
Yes,
But we
it
talk
did.
about,
And you see that even since he left, though the security has kind of abated a bit.
Exactly, because there is less politics in terms of security. And again, the current governor is a mixture of both southern Kaduna and northern Kaduna. If you understand what I'm trying to say. Standing by is someone that is a little bit like if he put his blood on the table, he has southern Kaduna blood, he has northern Kaduna, and he's a mixed politician that it is well known around. And again, we should not forget the new order from the president that all insecurity avenue in the country should be closed. The gaps there should be closed. And again, we are having the chief of defense staff coming from that state. I think he must have put in another strategic measure to ensure there is peace in Kaduna.
Yes, why there is peace in Kaduna, but we can't say the same for Plateau, Benue.
No, Plateau
even Nasarawa, the killings have abated.
But for the one of Plateau, Mangu local government, I think since they brought the army base to that particular local government, we have not heard. Every weekend I wait to hear information whether there is any killing, but for the past 2 weeks I have not heard anything. And again, in Benue too, I've a little bit subsided.
It shouldn't just be only
that particular local government.
The
Benue own is still wrinkled in issue of land acquisition, especially the southern part of Benue. It's still about land acquisition, who is taking land, community fighting over land. But we just hope that the governor there will also act, just like National State Governor acted by bringing all the head of security to a state over the weekend. Last weekend, the chief of army staff, the chief of defense staff, all of them were in National State to have a strategic meeting on how to secure National border with other states. We just hope the other state can also emulate that gesture.
Okay, so we are also looking at the coup plot in Niger Republic.
Quite unfortunately that this happened at the point that, for me, when this news break yesterday, I was like, was it that the government of Niger are owing the presidential guard salaries, allowances that they owed him hostage? Because how would the presidential guard owed him? Although we have had similar institutions, but it is presidential guard that have owed president hostage in some African countries that finally snowballed into bigger coup that we're experiencing, that they experienced at that point in time. But for this one, I was just hoping that it shouldn't be that. That's what I just hope.
So, how are they going to resolve this impasse? Well, they said that talk is cheap. You can always say, no, don't do that, don't do that. But at the end of the day, it's the soldiers now. Like, for instance, they have not been able to resolve the impasse in Sudan. And, of course, boiling into something else. So, what can be done to contain all this? Because Africa cannot actually cannot have its hands full trying to take up contending with all these skirmishes within this.
You are even going far. The Mali currently is being run by military.
Yes.
And because, although we understand why the military came into that position of holding that country to that level they are today, because of the French government influence on the president there. That's why for now the French military, the Malian military said no, we don't want to have anything to do with the French government, and that's why they are still there. That's why some African countries even give them livery not to force them out. But for the Niger own, we just hope that it will be resolved immediately. Although there is an ECOWAS or envoy that is going there, and we just hope that they'll be able to talk to them and they will just go back to their barracks and they will allow the president to run a democratic system they have voted for in that country. Okay.
Thank you. And just before we go, we have the issue of the Southeast insecurity. Is of course something that is crucial. You know, because everybody say that one man that is just from faraway country, Finland, for that matter, Simon Ekpa, calling the shots and far away Finland and inciting violence, killings, and mayhem in Southeast region. And Daily Sun says Southeast insecurity. Senate seeks Ekpa's extradition from Finland. Activities of Dokubo Ekpa threat to Igbo nation. Ohaneze says no. So, how do you see Ekpa's extradition? He is a citizen of
Finland.
He's a Finnish citizen.
I think someone said something recently that the Nigerian government would have acted in a way that the Finland embassy, the Finland ambassador...
We know that we mean business, yes, exactly.
We mean business. But since the president is still looking at... Although the president is still also weighing the body language of people of the Southeast, because by the time he would like to...
No, there's no way you can weigh body. If a president that is interested in keeping peace in that country would have gone the extra mile. Like, for instance, the past president went all the way to Kenya to pick up... Nnamdi Kanu. He could also have. He's a British citizen. Is he not? So he would also have gotten the extra mile to also do justice to Simon Ekpa, because it has come to a situation whereby the Southeast even leaders they are no longer. They have placed a bounty of $500,000 on his head.
But my own take is this. You know, we even though there was a time that Finland police raided his homes, arrested him,
and released him.
And you know, those Western European countries so much hold on to that human rights fundamental issues that they don't want to break away from it. I think that's what is
But if, for instance, you see, that is why people are saying that Nigeria has to be so particular about his foreign
relationship
with other countries. What are our foreign, how do you call
foreign relation pact
with other countries? Because you cannot have somebody that is creating mayhem. Talking, sovereignty.
Exactly.
Nigeria is a sovereign nation. You can't have somebody outside the shores of the country and inciting violence, mayhem, disintegration of the country.
Why I said that the president may be weighing the body language of some of these other Eastern people.
It cannot. The president cannot. President responsibility to ensure peace, keep peace, ensure security, security of lives and property in the country.
Why I'm insisting on this is that if he starts now and institute a extradition of Ekpa, the same people will criticize the government and begin to point to other things that he's supposed to do that he's not doing. That is not. Is
the president going to be looking at those that are criticizing it or to do right by the people?
Sometimes they look at that.
Okay, for instance, in Enugu, of course, in trying not to I think one was even dead. There's a report that one was killed. One kid. The Guardian has the story. One kid, others injured as traders protest over seed shops in Enugu.
Exactly. And again,
so things cannot continue the way they are.
The governor in Enugu have even been trying to ensure
that.
Yes,
they even had a tax force to go around.
That this guy even wrote letter to some countries that they should put a visa ban on the governor of Enugu for doing what is right for his people. Imagine that kind of act from this same guy. So what I'm trying to point out that if the president should start and so we want to extradite this guy from Finland to Nigeria, you will see people that won't be saying that no, that is not what he's supposed to do. A good case in point is the issue of the guy that what do you call it?
The jam.
What do you call it? That went and changed figures on the jam. You can see the kind of people that came out and say, okay, no, that at the end of the day, when they
was somebody from that Southeast talking about Chidoka that also rallied to the defense of jam and said no.
Exactly.
No, I know jam. So what I'm saying that you don't have everybody supporting all those things that are not really right, like that. You see, have somebody that would always say the way it is, like Chidoka. So what I'm saying is that Senate, don't you think it's about time that the federal government actually take these steps? Because it cannot continue to have so much violence in the southeast.
It's true. It's true. For me, I think I will support. I'll go with your argument that it's the right time the federal government take a drastic action, not just drastic one, a pragmatic one that will resort to peace in southeast. And for them to do that, that means two things will happen. If you extradite EPA, what will happen to Nnamdi Kanu?
We should explore, the federal government should explore its relationship with other countries, even if it's UK. That if it doesn't have that such part with Finland, it should explore it with UK. Maybe UK will be able to apply that pressure.
Exactly. But for me, although sorry, I still have the feeling that at the end of the day, the current government will release Nnamdi Kanu, but they may want to do it in a way that will please everybody. But on this same guy, it has become a franchise for him. He's now using it as a money spinning opportunity to make money, because people are contributing to this exploration that he's carrying out against the Southeast. But many people don't understand. But I want to believe that now that his traders have now come to the understanding that it is time for us to now to open our shop, I think they will just stand on that. Because if the government want to do one thing and the people are not willing to go along with the government, it will just end up as a wasted
because people
time.
are scared. The people were scared.
Exactly.
You saw people that even came out in that trending video,
Exactly.
and these masked men came and we were shooting at them.
But I
People
believe
are scared. But by the time, if there is security, if they are guaranteed of safety, that nothing will happen when you open your shop, I think all of them will go about their normal lawful duties.
Definitely. And again, what Anambra State government did, every Monday now, they now have security outfits parading all market areas, and people will come out and open their shop. Just that Solodu is not bringing it to the news the way Enugu government is bringing it to the news. Because it was in Anambra, all these months sit at home was happening seriously. But Enugu just joined recently, just after the election, and it became a wide issue. But we just hope that at the end of the day, the traders will understand, they'll come out, the people will understand, they'll come out, and they'll give their governor the support that they need. Although people are saying that, okay, all security vote money that they are receiving, they should they spend it on security. We expect that to also happen.
We expect that to happen. Okay, another thing again too, the rider activities of Dokubo. We have been seeing friends of Dokubo in security sphere since President Tinubu came into power. Forced his visit to President Tinubu in the villa, where he addressed a press conference and called out an army, Nigerian
Navy.
Military. Well, he didn't stop there. He also made a video. He has made many video calls, and there was, of course, this trending story where he was addressing his troops. He was addressing his troops, and he told them that he was ready. He was going extra mile to defend President Tinubu. So, and nobody has called him to order. And in one of the videos, he was even brandishing AK-47, and of course, we have DSS charging Emefiele for being possession of for one firearm. Yet somebody like Asari Dokubo is walking free.
I think what is happening is this. For me, I think from the economic perspective of what Asari want to benefit from the government, is a contemporary and a comrade. Tompolo is already he benefit massively from the Buhari government by manning the pipeline in Nigeria. So Asari Dokubo is also looking for something like that.
Of course, he was not happy anyway. They have to wade
into it.
They wade into it. Even the NNPC at the time, GND, also had to speak to both of them and to let peace reign. That how could only him
take almost that chunk of. And again,
so now because he wants to explore his relationship with President Tinubu, because he said they go back a long way.
And if you remember that this pipeline security is spread across.
However, when we had the former minister Lai Mohammed used to say that about 1 billion was being budgeted for pipeline surveillance every year. So what happened to that?
NNPC should give us account, or Lai Mohammed should also come and tell us how the money was spent. But we must also understand that even what the Odua People's OPC was also in that frame of economic benefit at the time. They also managed the pipeline across the southwestern state of Nigeria. Maybe now that OPC is not there, maybe they may give that one to Asari Dokubo to manage. And that is why it's at the forefront on ensuring that he support President Tinubu, and not just supporting him.
But he's issuing threats. The threats that he's issuing, and they're calling out our military, and nobody is calling him to order.
I think the issue of the military goes back to the issue of oil bunk. Even the Tompolo group
but it's not in his place to call out the military for doing that, even if the military were involved in what he alleged.
True, but even though we may say, okay, it's not right for him to do that, we also know how many Nigerians have spoken about what the government is not doing rightly. I think from his own angle, that is where it's coming in, that these are the people that are doing it. Remember, there was a time that an admiral of Navy was sent to prison for oil bunkering in this country. Maybe most of us have forgotten. But we must also rule out that this set of people have taken advantage of the gaps in that sector to ensure that they perpetrate all manner of injuries to the Nigerian economy. And you know, these guys knew everything about the oil map in that area. So they have opportunity to get the right information they are giving to us. For me, we should not discard the information they are giving, but the military should sit right, especially the Navy should sit right. The NSCDC, that means Nigerian Civil Defense, they should also, because they're also being called out to be engaged in this kind of evil in the oil and gas sector in Nigeria. So what I'm trying to point out is that, aside the Kubo, we don't want to be too militant in your approach to national issues, especially in the oil and gas sector. You can drop your AK-47, you can drop all your militant antagonism against the government, but say it as it's expected, but don't use that military nature to express your view. I think that's where it's getting it wrong.
Thank you so much. Well, viewers, this is where we come to the end of today's Thursday edition of Inside Nigeria, your breakfast show on television. My name is Winifred Ubebo, and of course, I've had with me in the studio the political scientist and the public affairs analyst, Olamilekan Adefolarin. Thank you so much once again, and I look forward to seeing more of you next week. Viewers, till I come your way again, same time, same station tomorrow. Here's Winifred Ubebo wishing you have a very beautiful day. Bye.
Barka da hantsi Nigeria. Duk abubuwan da ya kamata ku sani a wuri ɗaya.
Leadership for God and country.
Leadership TV for God and country.